10 years ago, I was completely broke. My girlfriend broke up with me. My health was on a steady decline. And above all, I had no meaning or real purpose to my life. In fact, I was so broke, I had to go back to my parents and live with them for a whole month. And during that month, I heard about two things that I thought might help me to get out of the situation: meditation and NoFap. I tried different meditation techniques. However, I didn't have a complete way how to immerse myself and give myself completely to the process. And the second one was completely impossible. Porn and masturbation was around my life since I was about 14, and giving it up after using it for almost a decade seemed to be impossible. I decided I need to make a drastic change. If I actually want to succeed in my life, attain wealth, fortune, equilibrium of mind, body and soul, I have to completely erase all negative habits from my life. Start to waking up early, meditate, eat healthy, think healthy, give up porn. But how I could have done it back then? Everyone I was hanging out with was indulging in these things. On top of that, everyone around me would smoke pot. I would go to bed at 4 a.m. and wake up after a few hours rushing to my temporary job. There was no sight for any success on my path. But these two things that I heard about, which is meditation and utilizing your sexual energy to elevate your situation, to transcend and upgrade your life, really sparked curiosity in me. However, to achieve that, I knew I have to change. I have to change where I live, with who I live, my friends, the people I hang out with, my city, and find different type of people, a crowd, a herd of people that are pursuing same elevated goals. 22 years of age, I took my things, found the cheapest way of transportation I could afford at that time, which was a train, and it took me about 3 days to reach Montreal. Still unclear how to reach my goals. I noticed that there's so many unique spiritual groups out there. Yogis, meditators, monks, all sorts of spiritualists. And one group in particular got my attention, the monks. Very quickly I found that the values that I started to get attracted to back then in my own dark hours of purity, celibacy, meditation were a fundamental aspect of the monk's life. I was highly impressed how they wake up early, meditate for 2 hours, and live a pure and simple life. Life which is content with varieties of spiritual experiences. Suddenly I saw the lies that social media and mainstream media is trying to project and trying to convince everyone that it's good to watch porn, it's good to take drugs, it's good to masturbate and sleep with everyone. But I couldn't find a way out of this alone. I was about to move the city, go somewhere else, and then one of the monks told me, "Hey man, why don't you take a break from everything and join the monastery just to figure things out? Give yourself a break, clean yourself from all these unnecessary habits, and then see what you do next with your life." I didn't even imagine that it's possible to be a monk in that Western world. Being a Westerner who indulges in all these different habits, I was surprised that someone would accept me, but sure they did. And my purification process started. We would rise early in the morning, as early as 4 a.m. and practice 2 hours of mantra meditation straight. I would not lie, it was very, very difficult. Of course, I volunteered to take part in all of that, but the purification was heavy. I remember how for the first several months living in a monastery, I would have all these different rushes and triggers to masturbate or watch porn, and I realized that I have to find a way how to replace these kicks that I get from porn and masturbation by meditation and other spiritual activities. And then my process really started. I started practicing more sincerely and focusing on the process as much as I can. The mantra meditation process. Mantra is a scientific-based approach to free the mind and reconnect, rewire your dopamine-seeking behavior, which is essentially what porn is. No one is trapped or addicted to watch porn. People are addicted to the stimulation it gives them. And that's why the longer you watch porn, the longer you're trapped in that circle, the more novel and extreme forms of pornography you're trying to find and consume, the more you try to consume. And it's all because your mind is wrongly wiring your nervous system through your sexual energy. And mantra stops all of that at once. Man, mind, tra, to free. It puts a pause on your nervous system and your mind interacting with that. And the longer you practice this form of meditation, the louder and the more focused you are when you chant these mantras, the more these circuits and paths in your mind are cleared and released and rewired. Where they're rewiring to, you choose for yourself. Your relationships, your finances, your work, your sexual life, so many areas of life that can be nourished if we put an intention into them. But it's very hard to do because most of the time we're not even focused on our goals. And mantra gives you the ability, focus, and remain determined pursuing these goals. For me at that time, that was spirituality, studying ancient texts, ancient practices, and understanding what is this human/spiritual experience that we're living in. I did that for 7 years. Within those 7 years, after I started practicing seriously, within 2 years, I was able to clear any sexual thought that I had in my system, able to completely channel and transmute that sexual energy and uplift my life, spirit, and everyone's spirit around me. On my 7th year, I was facing completely different types of challenges. I left the monastery and started pursuing relationships, romantic relationships. And once again, I noticed that my capacity, channeling and rewiring the sexual energy, now with a partner, is challenged. I had another breakup and I realized that I want to dive deeper into this world of transmuting my sexual energy, find mentors and teachers to study this topic with, and learn how to transmute my energy while maintaining a romantic relationship. And this step in my NoFap accelerated my journey to different levels. I learned sexual mastery techniques, how to transmute and alchemize my sexual energy, keeping my partner satisfied, attracting wealth and a new meaning and purpose into my life. Working with these mentors that are experts in the field of sexual transmutation helped me to gain a complete control of how I utilize it and how I can utilize it to uplift not just my own life, but my partner's life, my family's life, and my community. If you watched so far, I invite you to check my free 7-day challenge. You're gonna find a link down in the description below, and you will find there tips, practices, and a daily schedule to help you to quit porn and become a top 1% man, having the finances, the abundance, the love always dreamed about.